it wasn't good. They didn't trust me. I was a certified liar. I would leave and say I'll be right back going to the store, knowing that I was dropping them off to my parents for a reason. I would have to go do my drugs and sell my drugs and pick up money, and they would stand there and be like, "Dad, are you really coming back?" And I knew I wasn't coming back.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of Recovery Happens. I'm Patrick Patterson, BW Rock. Today we have Jody, who's here to offer hope and encourage recovery.
After high school, I went to play college ball in Missouri, and then the drugs and alcohol kind of took over my life. Didn't really like the environment. It wasn't big enough for me. I was big on image. Got introduced to the acid, cocaine, a lot of drinking, a lot of partying in college. It really took off there for me. Into my freshman year, after playing college ball for 1 year, I came back home, got with a buddy of mine. I was really big into weightlifting and was 6'3", 330, bench press 495 and squatted 640 back then. A friend of mine reached out to me about being the muscle because he was a kind of a really big drug kingpin out of Orlando area. And my life kind of spiraled out of control once into that lifestyle, being the muscle, seeing a lot of things. And then I tried cocaine, and I enjoyed that feeling, and then as life pursued in that type of lifestyle, also trying to be a son, and being good friends, my life spiraled out of control within like 1 year. I really started getting into selling the side of the cocaine and doing the cocaine, ecstasy, GHB. My life kind of spiraled out of control within about a year and a half, 2 years. Matter of fact, I had even found my wife back then. I had my CDL, was trying to run CDLs, driving, working trucks the whole time, doing things that you can imagine, driving CDL trucks that is even unfathomable. And I did it, Back then, my wife, we had our first child, and I was trying to be a dad, a husband, and all these different things while selling drugs, working, trying to do these things. And my life was bad because the drug dealing really took more over than becoming a father and doing things. I was never there for my children, my son at the beginning, Hunter. And then it was like a year and a half, almost 2 years later, we had another son. And things really got rough on me. I was never there for my wife. I wasn't there. I was too busy trying to make more money. Everything was an image thing for me. The bigger the jewelry, the bigger the car, the bigger the rims, the bigger the diamonds. If my kids wanted something, the more Power Wheels they had, the better they looked to me. I lived a life of image for many, many, many years, man. It was something that I inherited over being in the vicinity of, I say, bigger drug dealers and things, and seeing how that people kind of looked at them like you doesn't mess with them. And I kind of enjoyed how people kind of taught them or looked at them like, man, I don't want to mess with them type of guy. Or when they walked in, everyone was like, man, you don't want to mess with that guy. So I would take that image and I portrayed it into my own image. So when I would walk into a bar or a room somewhere, that's the image I would get back. Like, man, he's here. You don't want to mess around, And I thrived off that image. And then the thing about it is, if it didn't go my way, I would put my hands on you. So it was either one or the other. You got the bad or you got the bad. And for years and years, multiple arrests of fighting and putting my hands on people, I come to realize, that the false thing that I have of this image was terrible. When in all reality, I was fighting for something that it wasn't really me. And today, man, I look back at my life and I do get down on myself for being that person. But I can tell you that in my life today, rebuilding myself from the ground up, and who I am in recovery and what I've done in recovery, finding my true image of likeness for what people see me as, who I am now and today, is the biggest blessing that I ever can have, because today I love to inspire. I take my old me and look at that person, and like I tell them, hey man, that building's sold. You can sit there and talk about what I was all you want, because that's not truly who I am today. And then who I am today in the world that I am today up in Michigan is the same person I was for 3 years. And like my life coach tells me, hey, go up there and become a man. So it's like they dropped me off up here in Detroit, Michigan. And they said, you got one of two choices. what image are you going to create? You know, are you going to create? Are you going to inspire? Are you going to be the old person? And it's like who I am today, man. It's a joy. You know, I get to go do things like this, share my story and testimony all over. I get to come up to Port Huron and share my story and testimony. I get to come up here and tell people, hey, man, it's okay that you've made mistakes in life, but it's not okay to give up. You know, so the self-image I have today is it's not too much I worry about what people think of me. It's I worry about what people need to do to better themselves today. I say my biggest triumph in recovery, man, I'm just going to cut it to the basis is I'll get very emotional when I talk about my two sons is having a relationship. True. But today, my sons are 22 and 20, and I have the best relationship I could ever imagine. I get texts from them all the time telling them how proud they are of me. And man, it's a touchy subject. Matter of fact, they just called me on the way up here. And just having that relationship with my kids today. That I met a man and my parents, my family. And my biggest triumph today is having my fiance, Michelle. You know, I prayed for God to make me a better man. And I feel He sent me her, you know, or I wouldn't be here. So.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of Recovery Happens. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, please give us a call at 888-68-BW-ROCK.